So happy Friday, TGIF. So I'm going to show everybody out there on the socials and the video platforms um, a cool way to memorize chords, like your basic campfire chords, and how we can try to memorize them really quick. So I'm just gonna go through a hand example of chords. So, and then there's a way that you can look at things with your rhythm hand, right? Okay. So for example, right? So we got an E minor, right? Let's say people are having a hard time memorizing what an E minor is. Usually it's our first basic chord that we ever learn on the instrument before we start rocking, right? Okay, so what we want to do is we got our fifth string, or the A string, on the second fret, and then right underneath that on the fourth string, the D string, would be placed there as well, right underneath that. So, and then you want to just strum 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? E, A, D, G, B, E, blah, blah, blah. So, let's say you're having a hard time making that, chord to ring. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to build the notes individually in the chord, right? So first what we want to do, and there's going to be a lot of positioning with your thumb that are going to allow you to make certain chords, all right? So let's say if we go find the fifth string here, place it on the second fret, right? So we want to pay attention to the pressure that we put on our instrument, the string, because sometimes it really doesn't take that much pressure to make a note to ring. So doesn't matter what instrument or guitar you're playing. So what you want to do is you want to take that and just see if you can play that note clear, right? And then you want to take the first note and play those together, right? And then now we want to go to the next part. So this is like a building block. We want to put our third finger on the D string right underneath, play that string, and then go and strum those two, right? And then the first, 3 there. And then let's just try raking across to get that to go. So a lot of people have a hard time with, starting out with their finger. Usually it's their third finger, liking to collapse. So then you get a little mute there, all right? So my thumb is way up here, right? So it's like I'm hugging the neck and all that stuff, right? Can be kind of uncomfortable. So what we want to do is we want to kind of take our thumb and we're placing it in this like position to where my wrist, and I'm like creating more space in between so I can give my hand more wiggle room to get that knuckle to make its movement, right? So that's one thing we're gonna have to do is pay attention to our placement of our thumb in our hand. So for example, you do that for your E minor. So let's say we went to A minor, right? We want to build that chord. Second string, first fret. Fourth string, second fret. Second string, third string, second fret. Right? Pretty awesome. So it's just taking our E major shape and just moving it down a string set. So 3 goes down to 2, 4 goes down to 3, and so on and so forth. So then you want to do the same concept, right? Now what we want to do is, let's say we want to go to our C chord. We see that here we got this note from the A minor and that note from the A minor. Those are the same. So we can keep that the same. And then to make a C chord, we want to put this third finger all the way up to the fifth string, third fret. So right? So as we can see here, I'm kind of hugging the neck for this A minor. Oh, right? See my thumb position is kind of turning kind of like a screwdriver or a wrench, just so I can get that comfortability, right? And then let's say we got our D chord. Want to build that? Do the same thing, whatever's comfortable. And then let's say if we go back to F, we're going to go to F. I like to call it the ladder, 2, 3, 4. Second string, third string, fourth string. And you can go 5 down. Do not hit this high E, because that will make a completely different chord. So, right? And this is kind of a cool exercise, going from F to C. Right? So I'm always keeping this second string first fret. Right? So now I'm only moving these 2 strings. So I'm going up to the 4th string and then the 5th string. Right? So that can just be an exercise in itself. Right? So say we go from our D, and then we go back to our A minor, E minor, A minor. So the example I'm using is the whole right? So a little bit off there. But so this is where it comes to learning separate things, right? Things separately. So this is the Animals House of the Rising Sun. So what we're going to do is, let's say, we take our A minor, right? Right? And when we play that, say, all right, cool, I'm still having a hard time playing that. Okay? This is a thing called the 5-second rule. All right? So what the 5-second rule means is that we're going to build our chord shape, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold that position, right? So we're going to hold it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we want to try to just grab our chord, right? And then see if you can get them all to ring. So what I would do is I would do that 3 times for that, for all these chords, by looking at the fretboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So then what this is allowing you to do is to make your muscles memorize the shape, memorize the amount of pressure that you're adding to the string for that chord, right? So by the time you get to that chord, you're going to just be able to just play it, right? So then after you do that exercise for that chord, now what you want to do is do the 5-second rule thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now when you did that, right? So I was looking at the fretboard, right? So now when you're going back again to try that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thingy, try doing it without looking. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so on. So do that for all these chords. A minor, C, D, F, A minor, E minor, A minor, right? Okay, so now this thing has a 6/8 feel, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So there's a picking pattern in this, which is kind of cool. So now we got our chords. You can try doing that too. So now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on our rhythm hand, right? So both are very important because sometimes what we get stuck in doing is looking at our fretboard, trying to build these chords, and we're nervous, right? Because we actually are looking at the fretboard. Like we get nervous, like, oh, am I going to hit the right string? Am I going to get this to work? Blah, 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 right? So now, and then you're worrying also about your rhythm hand. Like, am I going to be able to hit the right string on my rhythm hand, right? So what we want to do is because we got the right side of our brain, left side of your brain, right? All that brain chemistry, fun stuff. But anyways, being a musician, it's nice because you can separate things, right? That's what we do. We decompartmentalize and we break things apart. We are a walking machine of puzzles because musicians are awesome. So kind of think of the guitar that same way. When we're learning something, anything that we're doing, anything, whether it's a scale, anything that you're doing, playing weird fancy jazz chords, all that good stuff there. Now we get to focus on our rhythm hand, right? So we're allowed to look at our actual rhythm hand separately, because I know my chords. So my hands are already set for graviness there. I don't have to focus on it, right? Because you got it all memorized. So now you can go right to your melody part. So what we want to do here is we're going to go really slow. So we're going to start with the downstroke on the A string, upstroke on D. So it's down, up, downstroke on the G, upstroke on the B. So then the second string, third string. So we're ending, going up to the fourth string here, we're ending on an upstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That's our 6/8 feel, right? So we can take that slow and see that we're making minimal movement in our hand. So your thumb is kind of going meow, 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 right? So then go to your C chord. Right, so we're so far using the same string combination. But now when we go to our D chord, we're going to go 4 down to 1. And do that, right? And then now F, what we're going to do, just so we don't hit that high E, we want to go back to our starting 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, right? And then do the same thing here. And then now for your E minor. And then back to our E minor. Alright? So the only difference here is our D chord, where we go 4 down to 1. So and just taking that. So right now I'm just focusing, right? I'm just doing my best to focus on my right hand now, my rhythm. And then you can slowly, you can ramp it up a little bit, okay? Right? that. And then you can just work on speeding it up. Right? And then sometimes when you're doing that, you might skip a string or two. And then sometimes what you might do is, if you got that picking pattern memorized and what you're feeling, sometimes you might have to go back to your actual fretboard and go, right, and play stuff like whatever you want to play, you know? Right? So it allows you to kind of just focus on different things, you know, and just do this for like your regular. Right? Do that for your D, C add 9, G. Hold the position, release, back to chord. C add 9, hold the position, release, play it. Now G, hold the position, release, and there you go. So try that for all your campfire chords, any chords that you're working on, anything that deals with chords and scales and whatever you feel seems fit. So I hope that helps everybody, and I hope everybody has a awesome weekend. Enjoy the weather because it's super nice out, and we will talk to you soon.